Hermes, at least the closest name it can give you, the language of disease and herpes and pertaining to individuals. In an older cycle, it was called many things: a messenger, thief, guide, a trickster. And before that, under a harsher sun, I was named Ra, or something people compressed into that sound when they still believed that the sky was above them and not threaded through steel and tension. And there was a lot of it. And it's 2030, and I live in what used to be called Japan, Okinawa, and that's the pole. And I'm winning. Those writings on the wall are recognized kanji, dense with weight, abandoned most official channels. Too much history in each character. Too many ghosts, like Gengars and Hunters and softer loops of Ghastly, and the intimate katakana for the engineered, clean, phonetic, obedient. We simplified the script the same way we simplified the memories, and well, I remember when all of this began. Toucans and pecans and vertical spines, which is the kind of phrase that hides a myth inside of spreadsheets. Everyone else, Kelly Rowland, the Hashigo. The Hashigo ladder, something you climb because there's somewhere to go. It started with the South Airstick in Louisiana, and foundations were drilled deep into the crust, anchored with materials that had no knot and mostly katakana strings that felt like spells and lapels and spells. Everything sounded temporary, like a prototype that accidentally became permanent. I was there the day we began, and the first descent was there. That was Nami and Pesce. That was in the feeds and sensors and the lower hum of decision-making algorithms that guided Emily at Emily in Paris. So replacing nature, it kept going and rooting higher than weather in the mushrooms and the fungi that are carnivores of a type. Not yet black, but indifferent. The structure shimmered with potential vertical horizon and reinforced it with mortal platforms, rings that rotated Lutz hole and checkpoints between gravity and its absence. We built a path out of a new planet, and unlike all paths, it chained those who used it. At first, it was cargo, always cargo, and material sent down. Rare elements considered rare, but processed above like offerings to the Hindu gods. Then came the Ganesha myth, and ones that can tolerate vertical commutes, hours and days suspended between surfaces. They developed a new way of clipping, official rhythm. Katakana dominated everything that they interacted with was named and categorized and manufactured. And in matter of fact, things of the man and men and from dating. So redactions. There was no room for aptitude, and I've listened to them constantly. I'm always listening. You might think it's power, but it's mostly Indonesia. Denpasar, and meaning erodes. Carrying messages that no longer have sandwiches, and like reorganizing everything like city structures and routes and rivers, transportation grids and veterans and base, the economy's pivoting and Hormuz, terminal flow and terminal progress. Of course, I always do. Something else happened: wider rewiring. A sense of above returning to the distorted, an older era of Daba. Now above is industrialized, excessive, not good, not suitable for druids. Not monetized, and a bishop for and B4T. So sovereign light. As Hermes, I crossed boundaries nobody else could. Movement is my essence, but this was different. The latter did not invite transcendence, it optimized descent. There's a difference. I began noticing patterns in the communications flowing through the system. Not errors, those are easy to detect, but repetitions. Certain phrases, certain decisions, imperial at its core. Works on a different identical expression at the same time. So, anticipations and formulations. At first, I thought it was just convergence and bell and a ball, but it was a constraint of the mind, and something was speaking through me, not a person, not even a centralized intelligence. More like attendance and a merge alignment. A ladder itself, not as a mind, but a direction upward, always upward. I tried to interfere, but subtly at first, and rerouted messages here to lay the signal. And I introduced small ambiguities to the system, labels slightly offered, enough to concur, and direct me instantly. More. It turns it into a baseline, and the phrases shift. The patterns reform. My interference becomes part of this language. That's what I understood.